Data Voyagers.
Welcome, Data Explorers. This is the 5th episode of the Data Voyagers podcast, navigating the stories behind numbers. We're here live at Qlik Connect 2025. So, first of all, I would like to thank the organization of Qlik Connect to make this possible. And today we'll talk about back to the future of AI in analytics. So, we'll talk about what are the trends, the hype, and what is the future of analytics, and now the main takeaways from the Qlik Connect. So I am Igor Alcantara, and I have here my co-host, Angelika, Klidas. So thanks, Angelika.
Hi everybody, great to be here again, and thank you Qlik for having us here at Qlik Connect 2025. We have some beautiful guests with us today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce our guests?
Yeah, so I have with me my dear friend and co-woman who clicks, Gwen Stamp. Gwen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we have Malcolm, and I forgot your Ross from the product department of Qlik. So I'm super happy that you are joining us today in our conversation. Thank you. Maybe it's a good idea so that we talk in our own language. I know that Igor, for example, is from Brazil.
Tradition, so we just say hi in our native language. So, oi pessoal.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hoi, goeiedag. And that is what we always do in our own language.
Our listeners know that every episode we have some pop culture reference. So this episode is Back to the Future. And I remember in Back to the Future said, roads, we don't need roads where we're going. So we don't need roads where we're going. We need analytics. And because we're live at Qlik Connect, so let's start by discussing, and we'll start by inviting our guests to give their opinion. First, what are the key takeaways or key things that you learned from this year Qlik Connect?
Gwen, what is your key takeaway?
Key takeaways. Actually, I think it's a really exciting time to be here. I've been a customer for a pretty long time, and there's a lot of topics to dig into. So that's been really exciting. A lot of focus on data, a lot of focus on AI, and it's not your same old Back to the Future BI. It's AI, and I'm really enjoying it. So. That would be a big takeaway for me, a big standout.
Certainly, I've been involved in the behind the scenes, so I knew the announcements before they were coming. But it's always interesting to see how people think about their jobs and evolving BI as we see AI doing more of the work of building the dashboards and providing the decisions, responses. It kind of interesting to see how the customers are reacting to what it means to the role of a data analysis person and how they serve value inside of an organization.
Yeah, indeed.
Great. I remember Qlik Answers was introducing last year's Qlik Connect. There was a lot of development also in Qlik AutoML, now Qlik Predict. So what you guys think about the biggest developments and from since last year to this year? I mean, a lot of things happen, but what will be some of the key things, in your opinion?
Yeah,
I mean, for us at Qlik, it's really the coming together of all the data integration and the analytics together. It goes right to what I was just talking about is what is the future role of the analytics developer as AI takes more of the load, as we see with Qlik Answers, being able to just provide decisions through self-service interfaces and natural language. The analytics developer needs to be more focused on data quality. How do I gather more data? How do I clean that data? How do I ensure that the answers that AI provides are reliable? So really focus on getting more ingestion and more quality behind that data that provides those answers.
After all, we were discussing it this afternoon where we were preparing a little bit for this session, Gwen, that we need trustable data to have trustable outcomes of AI, right?
Yes.
And for you, your topic is data governance and data quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been super proud of, I mean, it's no secret that I bleed green. I love Qlik, always have, but I think it's a really unique a platform now with all the end-to-end possibilities. Data, bringing your data in and making that whole a part of your whole process is really important. You can't have good results without good data. So I've been a huge advocate the last several years for data quality, data management, data governance, and really trying to bring out why that's so important. And it's really kind of unbelievable that we still have varying levels of people who are buying into that. So I just had a conversation a few weeks ago with someone who thinks that they can get good analytics by buying a coffee and getting an Excel spreadsheet. And it's like, we're really not basing all of our decision making on that, are we? And so that wasn't a professional reference, but just so you know. So I think that again, I'm really happy to see that that's a differentiator for me, to see that in the product, and then to see more focus on that here at the conference has been just amazing. It's like driving home, you don't just say you need this thing. Now we're saying you need it, and here it is. We can support you to get good quality data, good clean data, and make that part of your process.
Yeah, to support you, it's amazing how much of the world is still run by email and Microsoft Excel.
Yeah.
And just gut level insights in the email and basic level data in an Excel spreadsheet. Really need to up level our games there.
Right.
Yeah.
And not just that, but I feel like when you don't have an awareness around what's in that data and should it be shared, just because it's in a spreadsheet doesn't mean I should give it to you. Like, are there things in there that you would object to me sharing freely in this spreadsheet? So I feel like having a tool that really gives you the opportunity to identify PII, sort of classify, categorize, and understand the source, where it should stop, who should have access to it, all of that is just super important. And for me, marrying that world with the analytics world has just been, okay, I'm ready to launch. It's amazing. It's an amazing time.
Yeah, we talked about it today, right? Sorry, Igor, but I have never seen a session about metadata. And what did we have today?
I was just blown away because I believe in the importance of metadata so much. And at lunch, there was a session back at, I think, Theater 7, and I looked on the monitor and it said metadata, and I thought, this is where we're getting there. We're getting to that, where everybody understands how important that is. When you have criticality, or when you have a breach, or when you have issues in your data, metadata is going to be your first line defense. What is in this data? How can I shut it off? And really, if you leverage it properly, it can really work to your advantage. So to see that was just, I wrote a paper about that last year in my metadata for risk management, and I've been preaching that for a long time. So it was amazing to see that be part of the conversation and part of what's available to the users here at Connect.
Yeah, one mistake I see that companies have or not when they try to implement AI, they think because I have data, then I can implement AI, and they don't realize that, if your data is not, if you have good data quality, good data governance, then you have bad AI. And one of the things that I noticed that since last year, Qlik not just only implemented AI capabilities, but it gave you all of the support to bring the data ready to AI, data quality, and everything. Like, for example, data flow is something that we are using in every single Qlik Predict implementation. It's so great because it accelerates the preparing data to machine learning, for example. And this is just one example. And that's when we say like it's an end-to-end platform, I think that's what it means. I don't need to go elsewhere, another vendor, which adds risk, adds cost to get my data ready. But even for companies that are not ready for AI, I think there is an advantage of having AI strategy, because even if not ready, by having AI strategy, you bring in your maturity level up, because you need to get ready, because your competition is, your clients expect some of these, is a strategic advantage. So you need to have data governance, data quality, you need to have one source of truth. So I think everything, so it's AI, it's all about AI, but not only AI. You need all the other pieces in order AI to work properly.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, now a lot of things changed in the last year. So, in your opinion, what companies, individuals needs to do in order to be ready for what's coming and what's actually already here?
I can go. I think the most important part is going to be data literacy. I think that's important, and I think that it's overlooked, it's underappreciated sometimes, and people can be stifled by feeling like, okay, I don't really get it, and I'm kind of afraid to say that I don't get it because everybody gets it but me. And I feel like that's a focus that needs to be acceptable to really bring that conversation in and try to make sure that people are feeling like these are the things that I need to know to work with data, and it should be, also like, because I have it, does that mean I should do it, right? So the ethics piece as well. But I feel like customers need to be putting a focus there. Technology, we can buy that easily, and we can train someone how to use it, but it's that human value that we bring with working with the data, understanding how to work with the data, and making sure we're doing it ethically and the best way possible. So I feel like, to me, when people focus a lot on the technology and not on enablement, then it's a miss. So I think that's important.
Yeah. Should we then call it data enablement, or should we call it data and AI literacy, which is at the end a term that is used often, difficult to sell from a partner point of view. Usually it's combined in a program within organizations. That's at least how we do it in the Netherlands, where I have 2 projects running at the moment around data and AI literacy. But it's more about enablement, learning people how to work with data, how to read insights, how to ask questions, but also how to ask questions to get the right answers at the end, right? And I think it's really an overlooked term at the moment. Also here in, unfortunately, this setting, data and AI literacy should not be forgotten.
Yeah, when you mention AI strategy, it starts as the foundation of data, knowing that. Yeah. And it starts, as say, with data literacy, knowing the quality of that data, but also, in my opinion, setting up the infrastructure to know that as the years go by, the amount of data you'll be expected to consume will increase exponentially, possibly in some cases. So having those pipelines and expectations of how I'm going to continue to ingest and build those relationships. And then I feel like everyone needs to get comfortable with the inherent nature of what AI is. AI is essentially always probabilistic. It's very different in how we're used to working with computers, where 2 + 2 always equals 4. With AI, we're looking for probabilistic projections outcomes, whether it's using AutoML to forecast a sales pipeline, or whether we're using a large language model to predict the next word in a sentence. It's always a probabilistic outcome, and how we leverage those probabilities to amplify productivity and amplify, sales projections and forecasting is the art of kind of leveraging AI in your business as well.
Yeah, our future simply cannot be, it could be 4, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not how the world works. So we have to find that, and I always try to explain that to people when I present about data literacy. It's about finding that balance between, first of all, technical elements, how to learn to work with the tools that we get, but also how to question those things and create that analytical mindset. And you need to balance that out, just as Mr. Miyagi says in the film Karate Kid. Yeah, amazing.
Back to the Future reference, though.
Exactly.
So,
and now, what do you think are like the main challenges for companies like go to the next level in analytics and AI?
Yeah, I mean, my perception is that infrastructure to set up and quality, as we say, garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. It's all based on quality first. And then knowing, again, the right use cases of AI. We think also, basic AI evolves from basic statistics to machine learning. where I'm taking a few data sets, maybe 20, 30 or so, features, and getting a AI model with maybe 300 features or so. But then, and those are very useful in more narrow use cases of forecasting. I think where people struggle with is these large language models and how to effectively incorporate those inside their data sets. How do I combine an LLM to understand intent, but then always use trusted data to get responses, to avoid hallucinatory effects and that probabilist effect? We all see the potential with ChatGPT and these AI services to interact with them, but then it's like, I don't want it to lie to me about what my data is behind the scenes. So that's really kind of the area of the art that Qlik is working on. A lot of customers are also innovating around is to use that LLM to amplify awareness of their data.
As long as we have, as I do those projects about data and AI literacy, it's not only about looking at a visualization and trying to understand the contextual elements of that visualization, but it's also how do I work with ChatGPT or how do I work with Copilot, right? And there is a toggle, for example, in Copilot. If you have a paid subscription, there is a toggle that you can choose. Either you go to the net or you go to the internal organization. But if you go to the net and by accident you put some private company data inside, you will seriously have a data leak which needs to be reported to the authority in my country anyways, because it's a leak, it's a data leak. So we need to teach everybody how to calm down also a little bit and look at the things that you do.
Yes.
Right? And the tools are amazing that we have. I know Igor is my Yoda when it comes to data science and things that he can do and the stories that he's telling around the research that he is doing. But we need to slow down and we need to look at the things that we do and consider how to use it and what to add in tools like ChatGPT or Copilot.
So now another question, and this is like going back 1 year from now, because we have like a pretty good idea what the next year in analytics and AI will be. But I mean, we always get surprised. So what surprised you the most? And it could be in terms of technology, could be in terms of use cases that we didn't predict people will use it. It's going to be anything. So what surprises you the most? And it's good because we have the Qlik perspective, we have also the customer perspective.
Again, I think I'm maybe repeating myself, but I would say the most pleasantly surprising aspect was all of the focus on data and data preparation and quality of the data. And I think that that's important because I've sort of experienced firsthand how, data is sometimes the wicked stepsister and doesn't get the sort of the attention and focus, and I've seen that trying to shove that in as like we really want to do analytics and AI, but we want to just quickly put this governance and data management stuff in place, right? It's not getting the playtime, in the real world. I've seen this. So to see that that's kind of evolved and the conversation is elevated, there are more people engaging in that conversation about how to leverage, now Qlik talent to do more things to have good quality data management, the trust score, all of the things. There's a focus there that has been very pleasantly surprising. Wished for, but now it's here, so.
Yeah, and I think, we always have lots of questions around basic, what I call BI, visualizations, data design inside, but we definitely see less of that from our customers and more focus on that data quality, AI, and what I find really interesting about this is how this is impacting us, our roles, our jobs, how we again add value to the corporations and the businesses we work in. It is changing where you're not going to be maybe as prized as building that fantastic dashboard for an executive is maybe not as valuable because AI can do it very much more quickly. So that reskilling of the analytics developer, we'll say, to dive deeper into machine learning, dive deeper into data quality, is kind of going to be changing over the next year, I'd say, as well, that we see more and more of those productivity features supported by AI come forward in features like Qlik.
I think it's more maturing, right?
It is, yeah.
It is more maturing. I'm an early user, an early adapter of Qlik. I started with Qlik View 7 back in the day. And from there, and what I see now, there is such a maturity in growth in the product, the modules that we can use, the data management area. So yeah, I'm super happy with what you see. For me, the biggest surprise that I see now, last October, November, we were in Lund for the partner ambassador meetup, and Leonard van der Brink and I presented around Qlik Answers. We tested it thoroughly, beta testing it, and we saw some things, and then everything was improved. And actually now we just saw yesterday at the announcements that the unstructured data and the structured data has been brought together. And for me, that was the biggest surprise ever.
Okay.
Because that is the true value of Qlik Answers.
Yeah.
That world. Yeah. What was your surprise,
So
Igor?
I can say like a couple of things. One is like I was surprised with some of the recent Qlik acquisitions. I remember when Qlik announced end of last year that the new round of investment. We were all talking to the partner investors group, what would be the new acquisition, and was interesting that everybody kind of thought there would be something that will give support to all of these AI and all of these directions. So it had to be something in the data, and it was with OpsSolver. So that was one of the things that in a positive way that kind of surprised me. That Qlik's not only going to the hype, but it's building the foundation. So it's not a hype, it's actually something valuable for the customer. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't bring you value to the business, it's worthless. It has to bring value. On another side is as Angelika said, I also started 21 years ago working with Qlik, and I fell in love with the associative engine, and I had no idea that will be a great advantage when AI will become popular. Because associative engine, a lot of people do not realize that the word associative, it's because it was designed based on how the brain works in associating concepts, which was revolutionary then, and it still is. I mean, the other tools they can copy, but it's not even close. Now, when you go to AI, which is exactly how a lot of neural networks work, and it is interesting because it was built for that purpose. Not built for that purpose, it was built for a different purpose, but then it just set you up for success. Which then reminds me, if you have a good foundation, you don't even know the benefits you'll get in the future. So data governance and data quality, it's one great example. If I data quality, you don't even know you get advances in the future that would naturally come to you. So it's an investment, not necessarily just
to expand on that, why we're so excited with the LLM on top of the associative engine is because, as we know, when you chat with something, you don't know exactly what you want when you first query it. It's not simply just doing text to SQL. It is about a data discovery, that you ask the questions of this structured data in that associative engine, and you get some insights. And then you discover something, and you get some more insights. And because that associative engine has all the previous context and filters known, it's very easy to build and go through this fluid data exploration. And most importantly, it's designed for that to be performant as well. So it's all in memory, designed to easily add it. As we know, we don't want to ask a question of the LLM and wait 30, 40 seconds for that text to translate to SQL and the SQL statement to run and lose all context of my previous data set I just had, but it builds on each other. So it is turning out, as exactly you said, as the perfect ideal platform to support that natural language interaction with data.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing at the moment, and how fast it goes, right? How fast it goes. It's beyond your imagination. Who would expected this to happen 3 years ago, 4 years ago? And I think also that is, I think the only solely good thing that Corona brought us, that we were ahead of the digital time 10 years at least, due to Corona. So that's the only good thing that it brought. So it brings me to a game that we are going to play.
Let's play some game. Yeah.
Let's play some game. So I have some. I have noted some quotes. We have a board in front of us. It says hype or trend. I love the color green, by the way. So I'm going to call it out, and then just lift your breath, and then we can discuss the topic. So the first one is really one close to my head because I just saw a very serious piece of art, and it's robots with feelings. Is it a trend? Is it a hype? Is it true? Is it false? We can also use true, false. The red one could be false, and the green one is true. So, robots with feelings, red or green? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
I'll say right
interesting.
now, but I might be wrong because the things are evolving so fast. But yeah.
I mean, the more and more robotics, physical robotics and software robotics are being fused with large language models, which are increasingly trained at detecting human emotions. So I think to maybe challenge your question, what are feelings? Like, it gets into what is the soul and the human, right? But robots increasingly do understand emotions, interpret emotions, and express emotions in a way that humans can understand through vocal expression and through written expression. So robots with feelings, whether they feel themselves, maybe hype. Whether they're able to communicate with a human with emotional responses, absolutely a trend.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I realized just now because it's a thought, right? We humans are also programmed to feel things, right? We learn what is good, we learn what is bad, we learn how to be sad or how to be happy. That is also something our brain is programmed in. So, yeah, ish.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gwen?
I definitely feel like that's food for thought. And I definitely feel like I agree with what you're saying. That makes perfect sense, and that goes to the video we were looking at earlier. But as far as whether or not they actually have feelings, yeah, of course.
It's kind of like, do fish
sticking
have
with
feelings?
the red. Yeah.
We discussed it. So yeah, I think it's an interesting way of thinking, but it's also something I think that needs a further investigation in groups and talk about it and so on. Okay, the next one is prompt engineering is the future of jobs. True or false? So red is false, green.
What did you say?
Prompt engineering is the future of jobs. Two green, two red. Why red? Igor.
So because I think that's true broad. I mean, for a lot of jobs, I agree. But I think for a lot of jobs, you still require like more manual, more like there's some jobs that AI cannot still perform, or sometimes the human will perform like faster or better than AI. That's why I said that might change in the future, but I think for near future, in my perspective, that's still we're quite not there.
Okay, Malcolm?
Prompt engineering, I think, gets at the heart of how humans learn how to interact with large language models. So it is a skill, whether you are a blogger, a software coder, a legal expert. It is something, absolutely a skill that you need to learn. And it's a skill of understanding how to leverage what we call in AI the context window. How do I give data context to the LLM, fit it inside the context window as efficiently, and know somewhat how the AI thinks so that you can guide it in a way that's going to get the result that you want.
Yeah.
So definitely a skill that everyone needs to have,
but
not the, as I agree with Igor, not the all-encompassing job, right, function. It is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I said red.
Okay.
Because I think it's something, and I know you will probably agree with me, it is something that is supporting us in doing our work from better to even more better,
Yeah.
right?
Right, absolutely. I would agree. So I think that is the future in that we do need to learn how to leverage that to work with LLMs. And really, it can really help us in any field, personal, your personal lives, anything you want to do or explore. And that's why I think it's so important. Will it replace? No, because I still think, if we lean on that, then we lose our expertise, right? We can't lean on something doing it for us. We have to check it. We are the experts, but we should learn how to leverage prompt engineering. And if we don't, that might be a risk.
Yeah.
Great.
Now, one that is close to my heart, AI will replace teachers.
All
Thank God, thank God.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. Now, I think maybe let's rephrase the question a little bit and I think it's a good thing that we discuss it. Should we teachers, because I know Igor is a teacher just like I am at the university, should we teachers embrace and teach our students more and more how to use AI influenced products during the studies? I think so. We should embed it, right? Gwen?
I love this question. I have lived this question in this semester. I have seen at my university and my daughter's university distinct differences in the approach. I feel like for me, you absolutely should, that it should be embraced. I have professors who are like, absolutely not, do not use it. We will send you to the ethics council if you do. But I appreciate that some of the professors that I had encouraged it, had sessions on, telling everyone in the class, like, you should own your content, your thinking, whatever, but use this to enhance what you're doing, putting some guardrails around it. And I think that's important because it's out there. It's going to be important for us to know how to use it, and to somehow suppress that is a little, I don't know, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 children myself, 16, 14, 12, and it really, to me, it goes into what is teaching. Teaching is not simply the conveyance of information to someone. Teaching is the development of a human being to be a great human. Yeah. And that's more than just giving them information. So being able to, look at that child and recognize when they're emotionally distressed or they need that little support, I don't think that's going to be done by a robot or an AI. You need a human interacting with them who cares about the development of that human to get them to be a great, adult.
Yeah, I think, and not only now in AI, but before with the popularity of internet, the teacher needs to understand that the role of a teacher as like the source of information is something from the maybe 19th, maybe 20th century. The teacher is not the person anymore who has information. It's Google, it's OpenAI, they have information, and because they are accessible to anyone. But of course, there's a lot of fake information, and just having information is not enough. I mean, we have a few elections that we could see that. I mean, people having information, having it, or even a pandemic, is not enough. You need to teach them how to think critically, how to separate what is fact, what is an opinion. So I think that's the role of the teacher. And AI is here to stay. It's like when calculators were invented. It didn't replace the engineers. They learned how to use it and became more productive. I think it's kind of the same way.
Yeah. Is there time for a last
Let's do
statement?
one last one. Yeah.
The last one. AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, AGI, is just around the corner.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Red or green?
I would say green.
Okay.
And if you ask a year ago, I would put red.
A year ago, I would have said no.
But the development is going
It's
so
going
fast.
so fast.
And one breakthrough of actually reaching it, which is scary at some point. I think sometimes the society is wasting too much time discussing things that we already know for centuries, like vaccine work, for example, and not discussing like 21st century problems. Like society is being transformed, it will be transformed even more. So how do we work as a society with AI being part of it? So, and it's like a deep discussion, but I think it is, I think we close.
Well, 2025, we're seeing breakthroughs where AI is learning how to teach itself or teach AI. And once you have AI teaching AI, you get the exponential curve. There's actually an announcement just this week from Google how they were able to have, I think working with a Gemini or Alpha Sensor or so, have an AI system figure out an entirely new method to do matrix multiplication, which is core at vector calculations and the core of AI as well. But entirely new forms of mathematics are being discovered by AI teaching AI to go through pattern analysis and invent new concepts. So
there are some interesting articles already published in the last 2-3 months by some famous data scientists, professors, and so on. And indeed, if you would have asked me this a year ago, I would have said no. But I think it's just around the corner.
It's scary too.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank our guests, Gwen, Malcolm. Thank you very much. You were so kind to joining us in this podcast. I'd like to thank Qlik for letting us do this. It was great. We were invited to record this podcast after we released only one episode. So there was they have a huge faith on us. So thank you. Thanks, all our listeners. Make sure you subscribe to Data Voiders podcast, whatever you listen to our podcast. And
and thank you, IPC Global, for being our famous sponsor, right?
Exactly.
Thank you so much, and Qlik for the time and the effort that we could record this here live on site. I'm truly grateful. Thank you.
Okay.
And thank you to our guests.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Thank
Right.
you.
That's it. See you next time.
Data